Football is widely considered to be the ultimate team sport, but despite that moniker, the quarterback is the clear centerpiece on almost every team, and having a great quarterback can turn the tides of a franchise for years or even decades. Enter CJ Stroud, who after the greatest rookie quarterback season ever, looks to be one of the prominent faces of the NFL's future. But how exactly did Stroud get to this level of stardom? First, we need to go back to the very beginning. Coleridge Bernard Stroud IV was born on October 3rd of 2001 to his mother Kimberly Stroud and his father CJ Stroud III in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, just outside of Los Angeles, California. Growing up, Stroud was raised to be a man of Christian faith, and it remains one of his greatest credits to his success to this day. Stroud's parents even assisted in building their own church called Life Application Christian Center, where his father served as a pastor. But even with the strong religious environment that he grew up in, he couldn't avoid the dangers of living in the inner city entirely. In a 2019 interview with The Athletic, Stroud said, "I don't want to get into much detail, but I'll put it like this. Growing up in Southern California, you kind of get involved. Not every kid, but every kid kind of sees the gang banging and everything. That's the LA culture. I could have gone down that road, but God had a different plan for me." He clearly had his mindset, and he wasn't going to let anything get in his way. At the age of 12, he had already made a list of different schools he wanted to play college football for. But before he could even get the chance to prove his worth, he had to struggle with what would likely be the biggest hurdle of his life. On April 12, 2015, San Diego police arrested CJ's father when he forced entry into a woman's vehicle that was stopped at a traffic light before assaulting her, taking control of the vehicle, and being chased by police until he crashed the vehicle and fled into the San Diego Bay. Thankfully, no one got hurt in the incident, but Stroud was ultimately charged with carjacking, kidnapping, robbery, and misdemeanor sexual battery, and given a 38-year prison sentence. His son, who was only 14 years old, will have to grow up without a father. The young quarterback has spoken in detail about the struggle of losing your dad and best friend out of the blue like that. It hit him hard, and his family struggled to make ends meet as a result. But it wouldn't be enough for him to lose sight of his goals. At this time, he was a freshman in high school and immediately made the Rancho Cucamonga varsity football team as a backup quarterback. Already standing at 6'2" and weighing 185 pounds, he was physically ready to excel at the high school level. But for now, he'd have to wait. During his sophomore year, he became a multi-sport varsity athlete, playing for the basketball team as well, but he knew that was never his main focus. By the time his junior year rolled around, CJ got the chance to start, and he led Rancho Cucamonga to a 7-5 record with 2,343 passing yards and 19 touchdown passes, which were solid numbers for a first-year starter. In his senior year, though, he exploded onto the scene with nearly 4,000 passing yards and 51 total touchdowns, establishing himself as 247 Sports' third best quarterback in the country, behind only Bryce Young and DJU. He had now gone from getting no calls from college programs to being one of the most highly touted prospects in the country, and now had a chance to make good on his dream of playing college football. On December 18th of 2019, Stroud officially had accomplished one of his goals that he set when he was just 12 years old, committing to play football for the Ohio State Buckeyes, joining reigning Coach of the Year, Ryan Day. Following a national championship loss for the Buckeyes in one of the weirdest years in college football history, he got his chance to start for the 2021 season. And after redshirting behind star quarterback Justin Fields for the 2020 season, CJ was now ready to play. In his first season as Ohio State's starter, he made it look easy, putting up over 4,400 passing yards and 44 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions, showcasing his pinpoint accuracy and elite decision making. Unfortunately, Ohio State lost to number 2 ranked Michigan, causing them to miss the Big Ten championship game and subsequently the playoff. But 2021 was still a great season for the young signal caller, as Stroud finished 4th in Heisman voting and showed that he could really produce at the college level. The following season, Ohio State had one goal in mind, and that was a national championship. And the season began just like they'd hoped, as CJ led them to an 11-0 start and big wins over both number 5 Notre Dame and number 13 Penn State, which led up to a monumental matchup against the also undefeated Michigan. And despite a solid game from their quarterback, the Buckeyes ultimately fell to Michigan in a game that wasn't particularly close, missing the Big Ten championship once again. This time, however, Ohio State made the college football playoffs as the number 4 seed and was slated for a Peach Bowl matchup against the number 1 seeded Georgia Bulldogs. This would mark the biggest game of CJ's playing career thus far, and he would have to take down a team that hadn't lost for nearly 2 entire seasons, and it would take his very best. CJ Stroud hadn't been asked to run much during his career with the Buckeyes, but the Georgia game showed his ability to take off and earn first downs when his team needed them, something that NFL scouts no doubt made a note of. He scrambled on several occasions during the game in critical moments, and despite facing relentless pressure from one of the best defenses college football has seen in a decade, he held his own for 4 quarters. He truly played his heart out under the imposing lights of the college football playoffs, completing 23 of 34 passes for 348 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. He threw touchdown passes to Emeka Egbuka, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Xavier Johnson, and gave his team a chance to go and win it with a field goal with just seconds left on the clock. But the kick never stood a chance, and the game finished 42-41, a valiant effort from Stroud in the end of his college football career. He declared for the NFL draft shortly thereafter, and on April 27th of 2023, CJ was selected with the 2nd overall pick by the Houston Texans, who were looking for their franchise signal caller after several years of poor performances in the wake of the Deshaun Watson fallout. Many believe Stroud was the best in the class. He was taller, stronger, and had a better arm than Bryce Young. But as the Carolina Panthers made their selection, his name wasn't called. Instead, Houston got their guy, and it would turn out pretty well for them as the year unfolded. Stroud will be working with first-year head coach DeMeco Ryans as the Texans tried to turn their franchise around, with highly touted offensive mind Bobby Slowick running the offense. And nobody could have expected they would find success as quickly as they did. Week 1 would prove to be a tough loss as the Texans faced off against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, but CJ would quickly show improvement, passing for 384 yards and 2 touchdowns in a close loss to the Colts the very next week. The young quarterback had thrown 7 touchdowns in his first 5 games without turning the ball over once. His 192 passing attempts without a turnover set a new NFL record for quarterbacks, only further signaling his elite maturity and decision-making at a young age. By week 8, the Texans were 3-4, and the rookie had started to build some rapport with his young receivers, but was coming off a poor performance in a 13-15 loss to his rival Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Naturally, the media made more of it than they should have, writing headlines about CJ and the loss that condemned him prematurely. He would silence his critics, and it wouldn't take long either. Week 9 was a different story. The Texans were set to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and head coach Todd Bowles, a coach known for his defensive schemes and ability to manufacture pressure, which is typically the biggest weakness for rookie quarterbacks. But CJ put on a masterclass, rolling out of pressure and delivering dimes on the run over and over again, torching the Bucs for a tune of 470 yards and 5 touchdowns. On his first throw of the second half, he threw a line drive fastball to Noah Brown, who took it 75 yards to the crib. On the very next drive, he completed several touch passes with pressure in his face, capping it off with a 30-yard rainbow to Tank Dell in the back of the corner of the end zone. When the Bucs scored to take a 4-point lead with just 46 seconds left, Stroud drove them down the field with clinical accuracy, completing passes of 14, 6, 14, 26, and 15 yards in a hurry-up offense to score the game-winning touchdown. It was a phenomenal performance in the game that unlocked a new level of potential for the Texans quarterback. CJ Stroud had just produced the best statistical game ever by a rookie quarterback, and now the world was finally starting to realize just how good he was. He went on a tear for the remainder of the season, passing for over 4,100 yards and 23 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions, despite missing a couple games due to injury. His rookie season is comparable to that of Andrew Luck and Justin Herbert, blowing opposing defenses away week after week. That's the very elite of the elite company. We're talking about a generational talent here. While CJ might not have had the hype of Stanford's Andrew Luck or Tennessee's Peyton Manning, but now after just 1 year in the league, his name is in that conversation. Luck's outrageous rookie campaign holds the record for the most passing yards in an NFL season by a rookie quarterback. He accomplished it back when the regular season was only 16 games, and Stroud came just 266 passing yards short of his record in 15 games played. Had he got at least one more game, he likely would have broken the record previously set in 2012, as he was averaging over 270 passing yards per game. But he didn't just see individual success through this stretch. The Texans also won a stunning 6 of 9 to close out the season and claim the AFC South title. Ryans and Stroud became the first rookie head coach and quarterback duo to ever win a division in NFL history. CJ has already broken many records, and he led the Houston Texans to the playoffs in the season no one bet on them to be there. It never would have happened without their quarterback throwing for unbelievable numbers, all while protecting the football at a veteran level. The performance of the young signal caller has elevated their entire offense to new heights. Nico Collins quickly emerged as one of the most dangerous receivers in football, and Stroud's connection with fellow rookie Tank Dell resulted in some tantalizing performances. Dell had 3 games of over 100 receiving yards and caught 7 touchdown passes in just 7 games. Unfortunately, a Week 13 injury and a goal line pileup cost Tank Dell the rest of his season, meaning that Stroud would have to go on without one of his favorite targets, and his absence was felt. In the playoffs, the Texans will face off against a red-hot Joe Flacco and a menacing Cleveland Browns defense. This defense had been statistically the best passing defense in the league all season, and they held Joe Burrow to just 82 yards earlier in the year, and had just beaten them a few weeks earlier during Stroud's 2-game absence. CJ and the Texans were the underdogs, but they had a point to prove, and the rookie quarterback responded with another career game, throwing for 275 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 45-14 blowout victory. After this performance, he became the youngest quarterback to win a playoff game in league history. It was extremely difficult for rookies to do the things he was doing, and if we're being honest, he wasn't supposed to be doing it either. The Texans were only projected to win about 6 games, but because of their quarterback, they won 10 games and claimed a division title for the first time since 2019. This rookie has given more than just hope to the Texans fan base. They now believe they have one of the brightest young talents in the NFL, and the caliber of player who can go on to be the face of the league for the next decade. They're a winning team with Stroud at the helm and might continue to dominate the division for several years to come. This is a scary Texans team with a young core and a head coach and a franchise quarterback, and the potential for them is through the roof. At this point, analysts have run out of superlatives to throw at Stroud, so they'll have to dig deep if he keeps improving. CJ went on to win NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, once again crediting his faith for the reason he's made it this far. In addition to a Pro Bowl appearance as a rookie, and now heading into 2024, the Texans are going to be in the conversation as a team that can make a genuine run in the postseason. He has came a long way from being a 12-year-old, hopefully listing out the colleges he would like to play for someday. But anyone who knows his game and his story knows that this is just the beginning for such a dedicated player. It certainly feels as though MVPs and Super Bowl rings could be a part of CJ Stroud's future, making his way to the very top of the league. Being the greatest rookie quarterback in NFL history isn't easy to do, so let's see what he comes up with next.